There's nothing orderly about state-ordered executions, and the Chan and Sukumaran families are certainly discovering that today. The chaos, the coffins and the confusion all point to a near certain conclusion tonight. And for those supporting the prisoners, it all makes for an awful end to a torrid day, as our Indonesia correspondent George Roberts reports.
Coming together for the last time, a family facing tragedy also forced to confront this. Struggling to get through the frenzy of hungry journalists, Myuran Sukumaran's sister falls. She's carried the last few metres by distressed relatives. Next, the Chan family fights through the same media pack. Also denied the dignity of easy passage towards what was an already difficult final voyage. Today, the last time they expect to see Myuran Sukumaran and Andrew Chan alive. Also arriving at the island terminal, those responsible for carrying out the executions.
I have checked the facilities and equipment to support the execution. In general, the National Police is ready.
Another sign the executions are imminent. A fleet of ambulances carrying a macabre cargo, the coffins prepared for the condemned.
That's what.
Returning from the island, the men's lead Indonesian lawyer and advocate.
This is called Satu Hati, one heart, one feeling in love. This is signed by all nine dead convicts.
He's seen his clients for the last time.
And Myuran told me, thank you for believing in us, and please fight for abolition of death penalty.
If that can be achieved, it's too late for the Australian men's families. Arriving back from seeing their brothers, Chintu Sukumaran and Michael Chan made a final appeal to the President's power to grant mercy.
I call on the President to exercise that he still has a chance to stop this cruel, undignified way of torture.
I ask you please to show mercy. You're ordering the murder of 9 people, and those people have families that love them, and they don't need to die.
Unless the President has a last-minute change of heart, tonight the families will wait for hours to hear the grim news they already know is coming.
George Roberts reporting there. Well, the federal government's still working to try to stay these executions, but its thoughts are also turning to diplomatic retaliation if its pleas are again ignored. From Canberra, here's our political editor, Chris Yorman.
Across Australia, people are gathering to plead for the lives of 2 men facing death in Indonesia.
This is something Joko Widodo is going to deeply regret.
Mr Abbott.
The growing likelihood that the executions are imminent inspired a group of Australian actors, writers and artists to put their views online.
I stand for mercy.
I stand for mercy.
I stand for mercy.
Many attacked the Prime Minister.
Where are you, Mr Abbott?
And some paraded an astounding ignorance of the limits of a leader's power.
Get over to Indonesia and bring these 2 boys home. Show some balls.
The Foreign Minister has been tireless in her fight for the men.
Clearly, if travelling to Indonesia would make a difference, we would have gone there.
But the government has said it will not stand mute if the 2 Australians are put to death.
We will certainly be finding ways to make our displeasure felt.
So, what might that look like? The government could withdraw its ambassador to Jakarta, but that's something Australia's never done in response to an execution. It could pull out of the annual leaders' meeting. Australia might refuse to offer Indonesia support for things it wants in international forums. It probably won't do anything that hurts trade or tourism or get involved in tit-for-tat economic sanctions. And it won't want to damage the relationship between the Australian Federal Police and the Indonesian National Police. The chance of a strong response has grown as ministers have been appalled by what they see as the heavy-handed and degrading treatment of the 2 men. And that Indonesia ignored appeals that it not make the execution announcement on Anzac Day. In the words of one official, the behaviour of Indonesia has been crass, crude and objectionable. Chris Ullman, ABC News, Canberra.
Well, our Indonesia correspondent, George Roberts, has been covering this story for weeks, if not months now, and he joins us this evening. George, as we've heard in this bulletin, it has been a day of confusion over rules and access and protocols. Can you take us through some of the fluctuations of events through the day?
Sure, Greg. Well, the confusion and miscommunication in these final hours is emblematic, really, of this whole ordeal ever since their execution was first announced and then subsequently cancelled within days back in February. The rules have been chopping and changing. The timeline has been fluctuating. Today there was questions over whether there would be access at all for the families. That turned out to be yet more rumours about whether or not things would be going ahead as planned. Of course, the families in the end did get the access that they should have been granted, and in one small way, while other things have chopped and changed in this entire ordeal, in one small way for the families today, there was a small win in that the government at the last minute, without any notice, decided to allow the families another 6 hours on the island to spend some final last precious moments with Andrew Chan and Myuran Sukumaran.
So, George, when the moment finally comes tonight, will anyone familiar with the two prisoners actually be with them to support them through the occasion?
Well, that really is the sting in the tail in this story, in this whole saga, if you like. The Indonesian government has decided to rob Andrew Chan and Myuran Sukumaran of something which, under Indonesian law, is their right. It is their right to choose a religious cleric or pastor to be there at their side to give them some guidance in their final moments. The Indonesian government, for whatever reason, has decided to rob them of that right. So tonight, when they go to face the firing squad, Andrew Chan and Myuran Sukumaran will be alone.
All right, Indonesia correspondent George Roberts there. Thank you. There's clearly much to come on this story throughout the night, and ABC News in all its forms will keep you updated throughout the evening. But that's all from the news team here in Chillichup. We're going to hand you back now to your local newsrooms.